could be a
Hey guys, Chris Bishop here. We're excited to start off another fantastic Signature meeting with my esteemed colleagues, your leadership team here at Signature. And we're going to start off, as always, with the mortgage moment with Shelley with Prosperity.
Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome back from a wonderful 3-day weekend if you had that. So I want to share some changes with the Home is Possible. So I posted on Agents of Signature that the teacher program is extended. So we've got that extended through the end of the year. There are some changes to, not the teacher program, but to Home is Possible. There used to be an extended forgiveness period on the 4% down payment assistance. They've actually now made it 3-year forgiveness across the board. So used to extend that one out to 30 years. So you'd basically have 3 years for half of it, and then the remainder after 30 years of the assistance for the 4%. It is now just 3 years. For the teacher program, just to bring it back to that, it's the 2.75% interest rate, $7,500 bonus towards down payment and or closing costs. You do have to have a 660 credit score, and that is a 5-year forgiveness period. But some changes to the Home is Possible. I'm going to be doing the my training next Wednesday, which is highly attended, and thank you so much for that. I'm going to be doing it on the Home is Possible, actually all of our down payment assistance programs. So if you're interested to know what the upcoming down payment assistance programs are, please feel free to join me on Wednesday at noon. Lunch will be served.
So when you say forgiveness, you mean like there's a deed restriction, you can't sell the house within a period of time, or that money you have to pay back?
You do, and it's prorated, so the longer you live in there, the less that you have to pay back. Gotcha. But I don't think everybody realized that the higher down payment assistance programs required that 30-year basically, which would extend it out to, I mean, who lives in a home for 30 years? I'm almost approaching
Bad
that.
real estate clients.
So in some cases, it really doesn't make sense if a client has to pay back half of their assistance. You know, when they, I guess after 30 years, you'd have some equity.
But at that point, they've earned some equity.
Yes,
so
for
the
sure.
thought is that they've earned equity in the home,
It's not
so
gonna
now
matter.
they can use some of that equity to pay back the down. But 3 years is awesome.
Yeah, so they're bringing it back to the 3 years. I guess they're realizing that it is being recovered. They initially, I mean, back in the days, they had no forgiveness period. So people were going in with the down payment assistance, refinancing right out of it, and so the bond was basically getting depleted of the funds.
So if I had a client that was active military and they know that they're going to get orders to move in 2 years, let's say, and they're going up for one of these programs, I should be mindful of the fact that they're going to have to pay a part of it back.
For sure.
How do I find out information about what they'd have to pay back and the proration of it?
So this is done through U.S. Bank, and every time you go in and ask for a payoff, it actually will tell you, I can't remember the name. Yeah, there's an extension amount in there, and you'll see that it's in addition to the payoff.
That's cool.
So.
Okay, something I didn't know.
Okay, so Shelley, you said this was going to be Wednesday at noon. Lunch will be served. I mean, those were the
Janet
words out
caught
of
me.
your mouth. So,
Habit.
will lunch be served?
Sure. I can do a live here and have lunch if anybody wants to come for a limited seating.
I have a meeting on Wednesday. But
so you wouldn't even be there?
I won't be here, but I just wanted to clarify. Where is it going to be if you're serving lunch? Are you just serving it for yourself?
Yes, just for myself.
They're going to
If
send you a
anybody would
recipe
like
you can make on your own.
DoorDash maybe. Actually, I can do it here live as long as I can get some tech support from our great marketing and tech support director. But yes, we'll do that. I'll post that online.
So is that this Wednesday, like tomorrow,
Next
or is
Wednesday.
that next
A week from
week
Oh,
from
next
tomorrow?
Wednesday. I
We
don't
need to
have a
prepare.
meeting. Maybe I'll be there.
Okay,
But make
perfect.
sure you RSVP so we can make sure that we have it set up
We
properly.
need the
Yeah.
seat spaced correctly. So let's just talk about what we all are seeing today. I mean, the wind's 30-mile-an-hour winds.
Look at my
It's just crazy outside. Like you can't see very far at all. There's no, what do they call it, clearance or
Visibility.
Visibility.
What do you think that's going to do to the marketplace, buyers and sellers? We're not holding any open houses, so it's not like they'll.
It's not going to blow your signs
Yeah,
down.
it won't matter there. But
Thank you, Governor.
yeah.
Thank you, Governor.
What do you usually see when the weather's crazy outside as real estate agents? Does it matter?
I don't think
No,
it matters.
I don't think it
matters.
changes.
Do you think
much.
agents stay home? They're like, I'm not going to go out in this, and I
A
won't
lot
work
of
today.
agents do, but those making money don't.
Well, I think if you're working and making money, like you said, you've already got appointments and stuff set. You're not going to call and cancel them all because
Yeah.
the wind's blowing. But
I
if
think-
you don't have anything going on, it might keep you in your house.
For sure, and I think that all those people that are dealing with the fires in California, while that's horrible and unfortunate, now that's even more reason why we're going to see people want to leave California and come here to Nevada. I'm not taking advantage of something that's horrible, but 150,000 acres. I mean,
Yeah. You guys
That's
might as
from
well
a-
come over here too. The smoke's coming.
yeah, no kidding. All right, so
But that's a good point, right? I mean, the market's
I
hot
thought
right
so.
now. The market's hot, right? I mean, there's multiple
Fire.
offers on most properties.
It's been crazy.
Things are
Shortage of
selling.
inventory still.
Yeah, things are selling so quickly if they're priced correctly. I mean, no, I'm sorry that if you price it $30,000 over what it should sell for, it's probably not going to move quickly. And at the same time, the market's hot, and it's things like that that are driving the market.
Yep.
People having unfortunate situations in other parts of the country, and they come to Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I seen something this last week, and we're on a list of the top 3 where people are moving to, just for different reasons, not any specific reason, but Vegas is in the top 3 of where people are moving. So
Yeah.
it's going to stay hot, and if you don't have any appointments and you're not busy, this might be a time to sit down with somebody and put a strategy together on how to get busy.
Well, everyone talks
the
about their
coaching program or the apprenticeship program
Exactly.
or any of those.
everyone talks about their friends and family that live out of state, right? And should I contact them? They're not here. What value does it have? Well, they're all dealing with issues just like this, and they've come and visited you in Vegas, and you're here, and you're like, worst thing we're dealing with is a little bit of smoke and visibility issues.
Well,
Makes
the
a
wind's
difference.
cooled it down too. So
Yeah.
I mean, last week everyone was complaining of the heat. So
Talking about heat, so I went on vacation last week. I went on a camping trip. Yes, I have stayed outdoors before.
Like camped in a
Like,
tent,
in a tent.
On a
in
cot.
Legit
Yeah.
camping trip.
Yeah,
on a cot.
Old school.
right? Ritz-Carlton does not do camping. I checked it out, but
they
so
don't
I-
even sell tents.
No, don't even sell tents. So I went camping, and I knew that I was going to be completely out of cell service for about 2 days, where I wouldn't have any access to emails or texts. It was liberating, let me tell you. I mean, that phone is always with me. It's the first thing I look at in the morning. It's the last thing I look at before I go to bed. And so spending 2 or 3 days was refreshing. But I knew that people would wonder what the hell happened to me, right? And so I put an email signature on that said, hey, I'm going to be out of town. I won't have any access. If you need something, call this person. If you need something else, call this person as a secondary backup. And so it seemed to work pretty well. I had 2 listings that sold.
Nice.
I didn't know they sold, but they sold. And because you want to sell your listing, you go out of town.
Yeah.
But what else should you do? You were out of town. You've been out of town once before. Janet, you've been
I
out of
haven't
town.
been anywhere.
Yeah.
No, I'm stuck at home.
So let's tell our agents best practice for what they should do.
I think first of all, you need to change your voicemail.
Yeah.
To notify
Let me
people
write
that
that
you're out of
down.
town. Right?
can
Check
I-
that on your checklist next time.
I just want to interrupt
Don't put my
right there.
number.
Speaking of voicemail, I talked about this 2 weeks ago on our broker potpourri. And still, I had agents that I had to call for whatever reason that I don't normally talk to this week. And here's the message I got when they didn't answer the phone. Generic computer voice that says, the number you are calling, 702-499, please put a personalized message on your voicemail. Go ahead. Sorry. I had to say
So,
that.
Back to
again, change your voicemail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely, because people are going to call your phone, and you should date it. Today is this date. I will be out of town for this period of time. If you need some help, call this person. And yes, you have to have somebody cover your business, and it cannot be an unlicensed person. It has to be a licensed agent that says, I will talk with your clients if they need help.
Is it the broker that they
No.
prefer? No.
You have to let the broker know if that's the person you want it to be.
You should have
Trick
somebody
question.
handling your
Yeah.
business. The other thing you can do is set up an autoresponder on your text message.
Really? You can do that?
Yeah. So
Yes.
in your, I don't know about your guys' phones, but the Apple phones, you have a
I've upgraded.
response when you're driving, right? That automatically says, "Hey, I'm driving." You can change that to say, "I'm out of town. Please contact
Really?
Chris Bishop," and then you can turn it on so it's on for every text.
Well, not everyone should put contact Chris Bishop, but I didn't know that you could put on an autoresponder on
Chris,
text.
let me give you Chris's cell phone number.
Yeah. So
you need help setting
has
that up.
that on
Come
there
in.
today.
Come on in.
So basically what we're saying is all of your contact points, you need to put something on there letting people know and a point of contact for them to call. Because what will happen is you'll have a listing in this hot market, you're bound to get an offer, and that agent's going to be upset that you're not responding. And then you're going to have your clients, that buyer that you've been talking to for 3 months, without a doubt is going to decide the time that you go on vacation is when he's going to call. And so you want to make sure there's someone there to cover that.
Correct.
And that you put whatever agreement you have in writing so that we know what the
Well,
deal will be.
I think something that's important is that you're telling your clients a week in advance that you
Yeah.
are leaving town. I mean, it's something you have to start talking about 1 week or 10 days in advance so that, hey, by the way, don't forget I'm going to be gone for this period of time. I'll send out a blast email or something. And the other thing that you just said is, you want to sell a listing, someone's going to submit an offer on your listing while you're gone. Look, you have a duty to your client to be able to process that offer
Yep.
during the time you're out of town. You need to have somebody covering your business at the point where they could help present that offer. They could help write a counter offer. They could help
Yeah.
do whatever you need done in order to get that to go. So I think it's important that you have somebody in this business that you can, and that's a relationship you got to nurture over time. That's just not something
That's-
you call on Tuesday and
Yeah.
go, hey, I'm
Don't
leaving
call
on
Bob
Wednesday.
that you've never
But
worked
here's
with
the
before
thing.
and doesn't know you.
You said it's something key. Communicate with your clients.
Yes.
Be proactive. Don't wait till they text or call or email you to get that autoresponder to find out you're out of town. So
Yeah.
you know you're leaving. Let the staff know. Let your broker know.
Yep.
Get an agent to handle your business. Talk to all your clients.
Yep.
Change all your points of communication, and I think it should be good.
I remember when I first started in the business that I needed any business I could get, and I was the person to go to in the office for I'm going out of town because I knew I could make an easy referral fee for just covering someone else's business. And so if you're out there
Oh,
and you're
wait.
looking for some business,
So if someone's covering your business, there should be some compensation for that.
yeah, I mean, you should, or there should be a give back, like they go on vacation, they cover yours, you go on vacation, you cover theirs.
Whether
that
there
kind of
is or
thing.
not, make sure you have something in
In
writing.
writing.
Yeah,
So-
that's what I was.
Yeah.
But I charge for it, I'm just going to
Talk
put it out there.
Talk about that beforehand. Figure out what that looks like beforehand.
Yes.
If my listing sells while I'm gone, here's
Exactly.
how we'll handle that. I mean, that's all stuff that should be talked about up front.
So while I was gone, we had some progression with the election. And so those that don't know, the election is going to be up in September 21st. So this is really quick. I mean, less than 25 days for this whole thing to happen. And you've been on how many panels so far with different meetings and things?
Well, there was really two major ones last week. The Women's Council Realtors put one together, which was really good, and then LVR put one together, which seemed to be pretty well attended.
Yeah.
Not in numbers based on the number of members we
I
have,
don't even
but
know who they are.
past years there was a good amount.
Yeah. So going through these, I mean, basically what happens is they put you on a panel, and then they just hit you with a bunch of questions that they ask you to answer. So what were some of the questions that you're seeing or issues that you're hearing about? What did they want to know?
What did they
Besides,
wanna
tell
know?
me something cool about you.
Well, I think a lot of it is why do you want to do it, and also do you have the time to do it? Because
Yeah.
it is a time commitment, and then everybody kind of puts together their, and I don't want to call it an agenda like it's a bad thing. They put together kind of their talking points or what they feel like
Their
they can make
platform.
a difference at. Yeah, platform. And the one thing that I've noticed a lot is, I hear the word transparency a lot, and I think that's cleared up by a lot, just communication.
Sure.
I think that's a big issue, and then there's a lot of technology discussion and stuff like that going on.
Do you feel like the questions that you're getting from the majority of agents that are out there are like, I don't want this to sound wrong, but like intelligent questions about real things in our business? Or is it more like the person doing one deal once in a while is upset about paying dues? I mean, what do you kind of feel that level of issue is?
So I think they've been educated questions. I think they're people are there. I think the misconception is what the board of directors actually does.
Yeah.
And how much control they do or don't really
I know,
have.
I'm still confused.
Right? So hopefully we'll figure that out. No, but it's like people want to think that the board of directors is going to come in and change all their dues and do all this stuff. And I mean,
You're not going to have a bunch of parties and make it all free like my high school student body campaign?
free lunch.
Free lunch.
Vote for summer.
Vote for summer. All right, so
Pedro.
let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about what's coming up. So 2020 was definitely one of the weirdest years for all of us, right? I mean, we had horrible fires, horrible storms that have happened. We had murdering hornets. We had a pandemic. I mean, just every horrible thing you can think of has happened. And now we're getting ready for 2021.
You're talking like 2020 is over. I'm still waiting
It's
for the
September.
next 4 months.
It's September.
over.
We're
Yeah.
almost done.
That's right.
We have September, October, November, December. If it interferes with Santa Claus, I'm going to be really upset.
Same.
That'd
Yeah.
be the one thing I don't worry about.
We're going to get, what is it, Krampus? Krampus is coming instead of Santa.
Well, no, I think it's a good point. I mean, this business is a 90-day business, right? What you do today will manifest money into your account 90 days
days.
from now. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's not over. But if you don't start working today, you're not going to have any Santa Claus money. You're going to miss it by 10 days, right? So, yeah, I think it's a good point. It's a 90-day business, and we need to start thinking about 2021 now.
I'm glad you said that, Todd, because it's a perfect segue into my next topic. And so October, here at Signature, we're going to be focused on helping you build your database and also putting in your systems. So every year, everybody says, I wish I would have scheduled better. I wish I would have planned better. I wish I would have had that database together. I wish I would have had a better CRM. And so you're never going to do it unless you do it now. And so we're going to focus October on those items, hopefully all of our classes, including Shelly's classes. I don't know how we'll work that in with lunch. will be focused on your SOI
Figure it
and your
out.
systems. And then November is business planning. Because if you don't start planning in November, you'll get to December and Christmas will happen and Thanksgiving and everything else. You'll never create a business plan. So tell us, historically for you guys, how have you business planned going into a year?
I'll start. So I always look at the last quarter as the time to start really business planning out for the next year. But you have to realize that the work you do in October, November, and December is really going to set you up for next
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
So we get paid 30, 60, 90 days down the road for a lot of stuff. And so if you stop working this last quarter, you're going to have a very dry first quarter.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's important on that. But it's the time you analyze your numbers. I think really looking into where did your business come from.
Yeah.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Maybe you're going to put a little bit more time and money in that so that you can get more business out of it.
So you're talking about going back and sourcing every transaction so
I
you
would.
can see where your time was spent, where your money was invested. I know that I've looked and saw a lead system I paid for and it didn't give me any business. And then my database gave me 60% of it, but yet I was putting money into something that didn't make me any money. And so by sourcing it, I can figure out what that looks like.
Right.
It's a great point.
And then the other thing is be conscious not to cut things too soon because some things have a longer
Time
Yeah,
frame.
before it starts producing for you.
So did you plan out your numbers for the next year? Like you would go back and look at your stats and see your averages and your median price and then kind of forecast forward, or did you do it differently?
So I didn't dig that deep into those kinds of things, but I would forecast on what I want to make next year and break down the numbers
Yeah.
to actually how many contacts you have to make and where I want to get my business from. If 50% of my business came from my sphere of influence, then I want to push to make that maybe a little bit more.
Sure.
But how can I get more out of that?
One of the things I learned from you, Todd, is, if you break down your business plan into little micro sections, they're easier to accomplish. And so you've always done that with your business. You've broken it down to the daily numbers, the monthly numbers, the weekly numbers.
Yeah, so we actually have a system that we use that tracks that every week, and agents put their information in there so that when we sit down in November and go, what do you want to do next year, we've got some solid information. And in any coaching situation where somebody comes in and says, hey, I'd like to double my business or I'd like to increase my business, the very first question we ask is, okay, where did the business that you've already done come from?
Sure.
So that's a huge point, knowing exactly if you've done 10 deals, where did each one of those deals come from? And then we double down on the ones that you are the best at. I mean, if you've done more deals with your sphere of influence, that's probably where you're the best.
Yeah.
And so we want to double down on that. We want to figure out how to get, and I've talked to so many people that are like, yeah, my sphere of influence, I've done 10 and I've done 2 others. And it's like, okay, well, it seems pretty obvious we should work on your sphere of influence.
Meet more people.
What does your database look like? Oh, I don't have one. So that's where we start with building a database,
Imagine
putting those
if they
people
did.
in, marketing
Yeah.
to them systematically so that we can get in touch with them once a month or every 3 weeks or whatever that looks like, whatever you're comfortable with.
Would you guys agree that probably 70% of the agents out there, their business is just a result of reaction? They didn't really do anything to create it, just happened because they had a license and Facebook account.
So I would say they did something to create it, but I don't think they did it by design.
On purpose.
Right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
And then imagine if they had
Yeah.
some planning behind it, what fuel that would have added to their
So they're-
success. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Or the saying I used to say years and years and years ago was, hey, I do what I do when I do it. And then I think that's
And I'll
the
tell you who to vote for.
I think that's the attitude of most agents now.
Sure.
I do what I do when I do it. I'm not doing anything right now, but I'll do something soon.
I think for me, I learned a long time ago that my schedule happens for if I don't plan out what I'm going to do to generate business, I won't have any business. And then once I schedule it, I've got to actually do it and track it so that I can get better at it. If I know how to prospect by phone, I can always get better. I can have a better script. I can handle objections better. I can do a better role play session. I can do a better presentation. But I'm going through those processes, and then I actually formulate my business. If I have a plan behind it, I can do more, right? And so that's the whole thing with business planning is if you don't have a plan, you're just going to do whatever the market will have you do. And that's why agents go up and down. So definitely business planning month is important, and November will be us setting together that plan. I had an agent who only wanted to say, I want to help this many families. I want to help 25 families find a home. That's a plan.
Yeah.
You can actually plan out how that will work and designate those families. I don't care as long as you have one.
Well, I think it's important that it doesn't matter what your goal is. Your goal can be
Right.
20 people, it could be 100, it can be 5.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is different, but the point is you've got to have a plan.
Yep.
You've got to have if you don't know where you're going, if you're going down the road and you don't have an end point, you're never going to get where you need to go. So you got to know how many deals, you got to know how many phone calls it is, you got to know how many You gotta know all of the situation, everything, so that when January 1 hits, you're not standing around going, "Oh, wish I'd have done this in November."
Yeah.
Right. Let's get it ready for January 1.
Makes sense. Last thing on this topic is you mentioned it, November, December are big holiday months. And I've heard a lot of agents say, well, there's no point in me working because no one's going to be out